major is going to join me, so we'll
Okay.
probably have 2 heads in here.
Okay, good. Let's see.
I'm just testing the lighting. I think that might be a little better. And if I may, I'm going to just test out sharing my screen here. It looks like it's been disabled, so I cannot share my screen.
That's fine. You don't do that? All right, we're going to be switching rooms, so don't get dizzy watching us.
Okay.
Here.
Can you do it now, Breanne?
Yes.
Okay. Debbie, did you need to share anything on a screen? Debbie?
I think Debbie is saying she can't hear us in the chat.
You still can't hear us, Debbie? We can't hear you. Mm-mm. Can anybody who's, any of our participants, our attendees hear us?
Can you hear me now, Colleen?
We can hear you now. Yep, we're good.
Perfect.
We're good.
We're good.
All right, so.
Hey.
Now you're breaking up a little bit, Jason.
Can you still got the picture?
Yes, now I can, yep, got the picture and we can hear you.
This is my major, Aaron Wallio, here at the Pasquotank County Sheriff's Office. So he's got about 24 years of experience. So.
All right, well, I have a biography for Detective Wheelbarger, but I don't for Aaron Wallio, so.
It's all right. I won't be offended.
The same thing, but 10 extra.
Don't feel slighted. Aaron Wallio, right?
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Trying to go live here, and it's not letting me.
I take it after the introduction. Are we supposed? Who goes first? Is that us?
I was going to go with you because Kathy told me that you might need to dip out early. Okay.
Dip out.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Huh? But they're not closed. It's all the realtors.
Okay, I think we're good to go now. Yeah, I got it going live on our Facebook page. So I want to thank everybody for being here today. We've got some people on the Zoom webinar with us, and we also will have some people who are watching it on Facebook Live, and it'll be saved there so our members can see this at a later time. And you're all here for our safety webinar today. Very important webinar. We all know that September is Realtor Safety Month, and we are very happy to have 3 speakers with us here today. Well, now 4, actually, you can see 4 faces. Detective Wheelbarger and Major Wallio from the Pasquotank Sheriff's Department. Then we have Breanne Gingerich, who's here from the National Association of Realtors. And we have Debbie Morrisette, who is a Realtor member with our local association who has some experiences to share with you all today. We are going to let Detective Wheelbarger and Major Wallio go first today. They are really very busy in our area. We've got quite a few things going on that they are involved with, and in case they have to get off the webinar early, we're going to let them go first. So let me just give you a quick intro to Investigator Wheelbarger. He is an investigator with the Pasquotank County Sheriff's Office. He's been employed with the Sheriff's Office for about 14 years and is assigned to the Investigations Division for about 1.5 years. They're responsible for a variety of investigations to include, but not limited to, breaking and enterings, larcenies, homicides, sexual assaults, frauds, and assaults. As the world is ever changing, so is law enforcement and the way people conduct everyday business. It is their mission to provide the highest standard of public service while committing ourselves to the people, traditions, and diversity of our county. In order to protect life and property, prevent crime, and reduce the fear of crime, they provide service with understanding, response with compassion, performance with integrity, and law enforcement with purpose and vision. So we welcome Investigator Wallbarger and also Major Wallio, who I don't have a bio for, and all I know is that he's been with the Sheriff's Department for about 14 years.
24 years.
He's got 24 years.
24 years. Okay, so go ahead and take it away.
He did everything I did for about 10 years before I. So.
All right.
But thank you guys for having us. We were here just to kind of talk and reach out and let you know that we are here for any questions that you have. But we need to try to work together to help keep you guys safe. And citizens out there, including you, going out into the public, our eyes and ears to let us know what's going on. But unfortunately, y'all can become a victim of a crime as well. So we've got a few safety tips we're able to research to maybe guys. One of the things I know that I realize is following your gut instinct on when something isn't right. And you have resources out there. One can be law enforcement. Knowing your neighborhoods, where your vacant houses are, how long they've been vacant, to have, and something that Aaron and I had talked about was maybe reaching out to some of the neighbors around where these vacant houses are, because we have a lot of neighborhoods out here in Pasquotank County where the neighbors keep up with what's going on. And we refer to them sometimes as the nosy neighbors, but they're the best people for information. They work better than cameras sometimes. So one of the successes we had was actually reaching out to the neighbors when you're going to list a house, to let them know who you are, contact information, things like that. Because a lot of times you'll find neighbors that will actually help you out, be your eyes for you when you're not around these properties that may stay vacant for weeks at a time, months at a time. I'm not quite sure how often y'all go to look at the houses. So that was one of the things I know we had talked about. Trying to think, another one that I know, and I worked for patrol for 13 years before I was in investigations, was having contact, whether it's with your local dispatchers or your local law enforcement, is to have some contact information. I've had numerous houses that have been vandalized, whether by children, teenagers, whoever it is, and at nighttime and stuff, trying to get up with someone responsible to house, to even let them know, hey, something's going on here at the house has been a bit difficult. So whether, like I said, the central communications or your local law enforcement, having some contact information on what houses are listed in case we ever need to contact somebody. What did you have?
One of the things when you are showing houses is just a few tips to try to keep in mind to be safe. Because this time of year, obviously, it's getting darker sooner than normal. Keep it light. If you can show a house in the daytime, when things are well lit, that's probably more preferably than going to show a house at night. Other options would be to check in. So if you have a potential client, have them actually come to your office and meet you there. Don't actually meet them at the property you're showing. Mm-hmm. They can show up, ask them for a driver's license. Just say it's part of something you need for your information or for your records. You can photocopy that driver's license and leave it at the office so people know who you're with. Mm-hmm. Obviously, checking in also applies to you as a realtor. You know, when you are showing a house, how about, you know, let your coworkers know, hey, I'm going to 1, 2, or 3 properties, you know, and I'm showing it to this person. You know, I'm gonna check when I'm done. When I'm finished and I'm safe, I'm gonna call you and let you know. That way, you know, somebody's not showing a house, you know, maybe after 5 to 5, somebody's gone home. And, you know, and nobody misses you till the next day. I mean, that can happen. So if you're checking in and you're checking in when you're finished or showing your property, coworkers know you're safe as well. Another thing, don't be too public. Give out too much information about what you're doing. We all know Facebook and social media and things like that. People post like crazy. They post cleaning a house. They post pictures of their dinner. Same thing, you know, don't put all your personal information out there if you're showing the property. Or you know, don't be posting for all your friends or for people to see that you're going to be out at the office. Or I'm going to be here at this open house all day. You know, I know you got to do that to try to sell properties. I understand that's a double-edged sword for you guys. But be careful what you do share so you don't set up to be a potential target. Obviously, like I said, you know, make sure you're touching base with everybody. You know, touch base with your coworkers. What's going on? Like Jason talked about with Nick. Be afraid to let community watch groups know in a particular neighborhood you have a house listed, or just other neighbors. Hey, keep an eye on the property, so you can have suspicious activity reported to you. Maybe there's been activity around the house you guys haven't shown for like a week or so. You know, if you're suspicious or you're worried about something, do a drive-by and check it out. If something doesn't look right or the house looks different from the last time you were there, there's nothing wrong with calling the police or the sheriff's office. Let us come by and look at the property with you before you show it to a potential client. Make sure nobody's there. Make sure nobody's broken in. You don't have any squatters in the things like that. Just be safe.
Well, one of the things with that too, and I know we had talked about, was like the lock boxes, I think, that the realtors use to keep the keys on the house. All I did was Google how to break into a realtor lockbox, and I think I got over 100 videos, which are very easy. One of the things that we have been trying to combat for the last few years has also been like car break-ins where people have left their vehicles unlocked, and typically, whether it's juveniles, teenagers, young adults, will break into unlocked cars. Don't think they don't know where these vacant houses are as well and can get into those. One, I would also say be wary of making sure you're locking the house behind your showings on these vacant houses. But two, like I said, Googling how to break into lock, anything I all the videos take 2 to 3 minutes. They can do it with a pen or a pencil, just kind of feeling out the code, and then use these houses for whatever they want. Sometimes it's just vandalism. Sometimes, as Aaron had talked about, with squatters. We also have throughout the region and everything, human trafficking. There's nothing better than a vacant house in an area that's not well lit, not well traveled, things like that. You basically have a free place to stay. These criminals who are also have an addiction, they're not thinking as in their right mind, so they just see the opposite of a situation, which comes with when you get into these properties. Also, maybe look at the perimeter, kind of seeing if anything looks different to you. It goes back to Major Wallio said, even if something is not right, just go ahead and call us and we can assist you with that before you go into a house. But that said too, one of the recommendations, and everybody has thoughts on this, but is carry a weapon with you and coming and getting your concealed license from your local sheriff's offices, and actually having things. You can take all the steps in the world to be safe, and they may not work sometimes, unfortunately. So that would kind of be one of the last resorts to me, is if you were put in that situation and you had no other way out with fight or flight. Obviously I would suggest taking the flight path first, but if you have to fight back, at least having some firearm, whether it's mace, whether it's something like that, to defend yourself if it gets to that point. Ultimately, that's not where we wanted to get. Those situations do arise. What else?
I'd just like to bring up one other thing. When you do show property, be aware of your surroundings, and not maybe change the way you actually show a property. Always be behind, and that way coming up you from behind. So you can always show a property, for example, instead of walking in from one room to the next room first, you know, direct them to the next room. You know, hey, we're in the living room, but I would like to show you the kitchen. You know, have them go first and you walk in behind them. So that way nobody can get up behind you and sneak attack you. So it's just a way of changing how how maybe you approach people and how you show properties. But I mean, it's one more way to be safe and like I said, know what's going on around you.
Don't get complacent. In law enforcement, we've been training for numerous years, and they always preach, don't get comfortable. The more comfortable you get with something and not being vigilant, that's when something will happen. We hear it a lot with traffic stops. There is no routine traffic stop. You don't know what's in that car that we're going to stop, that we're stopping and we're walking up to. And the same thing I would say is when you're out in these neighborhoods and these houses and showing homes, I'm sure there's probably not enough time to do full backgrounds on people just to show a listing. So just being vigilant, being aware, and letting other people know where you are, typically kind of like a buddy system, are some of the best things I think that we can say. And having contact with your local law enforcement. I know if somebody were to call me and asking about areas or crimes and things that are happening, we'd be more than willing, to give out some information like that to help keep you guys safe.
And I think that's really the main takeaway. You don't face it. And like I said, Jason said, we're guilty of it as law enforcement. I know, but everybody else is in every other profession as well. All these things are set up to keep us safe. But we all do get complacent, and just try to keep that in mind. Just because, like he says, no traffic stop routine. We may stop 100 cars and everything's fine. It's the 101st car that things are going to go really bad. Same thing showing properties. You guys may show 1,000 houses and there's never a problem, but that 1,001, could be when things get really bad for you. So just try to keep that in your back of your head and set up these things and procedures to keep you safe. Whether it's like we talked about, checking in, getting their ID, and having them meet you at your office before you go to a property. All of these things. Just make it a daily habit and stick to it. Like I said, it's when you get complacent and we start taking shortcuts and we don't do these safety measures, that's when we help set ourselves up to be a victim. And that's what we want to prevent. And obviously we want you guys, to prevent. We don't want to see anybody become a victim.
With that, I think that's about it. We're going to kind of open the floor if anybody had any questions for us that we can answer. I believe later today we have Miss Morrisette here to speak, and she was involved in one of these situations. I mean, I'd be very grateful that she did what happened to her as well. Colleen, can you hear me?
Yeah, I was muted. I'm sorry. We do have a couple of questions.
Okay.
One of our members asked, in vacant houses in Pasquotank County that look bad, are there ever squatters that are living there?
I believe there have been some in the city jurisdiction. In the county, what we deal with more, it's more juveniles. I know one house in particular, there's a shed in the back, and that's where they use to go back there and party and stuff like that. Most of the neighbors would call in. I think we've had 2 instances with one house in particular. I don't know in the county jurisdiction of any actual squatters though. City though, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. When you were speaking earlier, you were talking about the lock boxes and how easy it is to break into them. We have electronic lock boxes that are, this is my question. When you Googled that and you found so many answers that you think somebody could break into it within 2 to 3 minutes, are those the combo lock boxes?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was.
Okay. Not our electronic lock boxes that we have to have an app downloaded on our phone to electronically open it.
Yeah. Which we've even had storage units too. I mean, they want to phrase it enough, and I don't know with the electronic ones, but we'll have it with storage units. They'll just take bolt cutters and cut through some of them. So I'm not quite sure how that works with the electronic ones. If you get a notification if the lock's been broken.
I think it would be more difficult to get into one of them. I was hoping you weren't talking about our electronic system that we use. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Does the sheriff's department or police know the people in the area who are mentally ill or that have guns that we need to know who they are?
There's no database specifically for that I know of. I don't have a good answer on that one. I mean, there's, unfortunately, that we deal with, not saying they have mental illness, they also have firearms. We usually try to prevent that in the best way we can. But unfortunately, more and more people are coming to our area every day. so we interact with new people. But just specifically knowing that, no.
So as far as purchasing or obtaining a firearm, obviously if you have a history of illness or been diagnosed, anytime you would apply and we have to run you in the NICS program, you would actually be flagged. So that prevents you from being able to purchase a firearm legally, you know, if you follow one of those categories.
Okay. Then another question is, I have a permit and a weapon. Should I leave that in the car while I'm showing properties?
Personally, I'd say no. I'm assuming for the females, if they would, you know, carry it in their purse or however, if they carry it on their body, I would say keep it with you most of the time. And my thinking is if something were to happen in the house, it's not going to be as good if it's in the car. That's my personal opinion.
That'll be my recommendation as well. If you're carrying concealed, obviously you don't want to freak out a potential client, because we all know there's pro-gun people and anti-gun people. That's just the way of the world with everything, right? Not just firearms. So I would have it on your person. Concealed would be my option A before I leave it in my car.
And that's just for a firearm. I mean, I've seen the maces on keychains and stuff like that. If there's something else you feel more comfortable with, you know, to maybe carry with, whether it's in your pocket or in a purse or however it is you carry your items.
Okay. All right, I think those are all the questions that we have. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Yes, thank you for having us.
All right.
So, all right, guys, be safe. And if anything, just reach out to us and we may be able to answer more questions or give you some help whenever you need.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. I think Debbie is having a little trouble. Are you unable to hear us, Debbie?
Well, you've actually come back. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah,
Hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, yeah, I could barely hear anything that the two detectives were saying.
I think there might have been a problem with their connection. I'm not sure, but they were a little glitchy. Yeah. All right. So
Okay.
we are going to go to Breanne Gingerich now. She is here from NAR. She is the marketing manager of strategy and promotion for NAR. She has managed NAR's Realtor Safety Program since 2015 and serves as the staff executive of NAR's newly formed Realtor Safety Advisory Committee. She is passionate about realtor safety and working with the safety committee members to improve the safety culture in our industry. And we are very happy to have you here today, Breanne.
Thank you so much, Colleen. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, so as Colleen said, I am Breanne Gingerich from the National Association of Realtors, and I'm here to talk to you today about some realtor safety tips and best practices. So I do have a few slides to share with you today. So while I have time with you in my 15 minutes, I'm going to talk to you about realtor safety culture, predatory crimes, safety tips and best practices, and resources available from NAR's Realtor Safety Program. So safety culture. What do I mean when I say safety culture and that we want to improve it? I mean, we want to do things like talk about realtor safety beginning on day one with new members, new agents, new association staff people, everyone in the industry. And not just new members, industry veterans should have a refresher every now and then as well. We really want to keep each other safe by sharing these best practices or telling colleagues and realtors from the next local association over. If you have encountered someone during an open house or an appointment that has made you feel unsafe, share that information with each other. Make it part of your everyday conversation. We're not spreading fear or panic, but we want to hold each other accountable. Call someone out if you know one of your colleagues just got a phone call from a new potential client. They want to meet right away at that new listing. So you see your colleague head out, ready to jump into their car. Stop them, tell them to take a beat and ask them, is this safe? The answer is no, not at all. And we'll talk more on that here in just a moment. If realtors are aware of the potential dangers that you face on the job and follow best practices every day with every client, you will reduce your risk. Knowledge, awareness, and empowerment, which you see there on your screen, these are the core components of NAR's Realtor Safety Program. And helping our members understand the risks they face can mean the difference between life and death. So we want to improve upon the safety culture in the industry so we can reduce the number of incidents that happen. So my request to all of you who are joining us here today is to talk about realtor safety. Like I said, begin training new agents on day one about the importance of having safety protocols in place that they can follow with every client, every day, every time. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on out there and the 2020 Realtor Safety Survey. Does everyone know that NAR conducts a safety survey every year and shares the report on nar.realtor/safety? If you don't know that, you can access the full report there, and I will share that URL with you again at the end of my presentation. But some highlights I want to share with you today is that 23% of realtors reported experiencing a situation that made them fear for their personal safety or the safety of their personal information. 31% of realtors reported having felt unsafe during an open house. And 5% of realtors say they had been a victim of a crime while working as a real estate professional. So that's a pretty low percentage, which we are happy about, but we would really like to see that number as close to zero as possible. While I'm with you today, one misconception that we have to talk about is that most crimes against real estate agents are random acts of opportunity. That is not the case. Most crimes against realtors are predatory in nature, meaning the attacker preys on their victim and plans the attack in advance. This may be someone that you know and have known for a while. So predators really take their time. They shop for a victim. They identify that person who maybe is a little too nice for their own good, and they think, you know, this person isn't going to follow their instinct. They choose that victim, research the victim. It's so easy to find information about all of us out there, just like the detectives were saying, on social media, just doing a quick Google search. The predator is then going to pick a site, plan how to get that victim alone at the site, plan how to get them isolated, and then execute on those plans and make their attack. So now that we know that, and we've discussed predatory crimes, let's talk about some safety tips and best practices to keep you safe and avoid becoming the victim of a predator. Just as you heard a few moments ago, it's so important not to share about your personal life, or overshare about your personal life, I should say. Realtors, you are friendly, outgoing people, but what can happen is we can easily overshare and make it easy for those predators to plan an attack. So do not overshare, because these behaviors can put you at risk. Do not friend, if you will, potential clients on social media. Do not discuss things like where your children go to school or share things about your daily routine. And I don't mean, you know, not sharing information to your close friends and family, but considering who you are sharing that information with. So let's talk about some safety protocols that you should implement into your safety strategy and some things that you should not do. If there's one thing I want you to take away from my time with you today, it is that there is safety in numbers. So don't ever meet new clients alone, ever. Even if you've spoken to them on the phone or via email several times, do meet them in a neutral location, such as your office, a local coffee shop, anywhere where there are more people around. Do not host open houses alone. I'm going to go ahead and repeat that one for everyone in the back. Do not host open houses alone. Think about this. You're sitting alone in a property waiting for strangers to arrive. And when they do, You greet them with a smile, invite them to come in where you are alone and isolated. So imagine this for a second. You're home alone in your house. A stranger pulls into your driveway. You open that front door and invite them and show them around your home. That sounds kind of dangerous, right? And that's because it is. So instead of doing those things alone, always use the buddy system. Bring a colleague or a friend with you to sit at your open houses. Always let a colleague know where you are and when you should be back. Have a system in place to check on each other. One thing you could do is identify and have a distress code. Create a word or phrase that's not commonly used that you can easily work into your conversations, or identify an emoji that you could text in a situation where you feel that you are in danger. I've actually heard of some brokerages using the last name of the office manager, for example. So that phone call could sound like this. Hey, this is Breanne. I'm with Mr. and Mrs. Henderson at the 123 Oak Street listing. Could you email me the property's Robertson file right away? This lets the office manager or your colleague, friend, or family member, whomever you've called, know that you are in distress and they need to send the police over to 123 Oak Street right away. Keep records. When you have your clients come into your office for that initial meeting, have them sign in and take a copy of their ID and keep it in an organized filing system in your office. While at showings, again, just to reiterate some of the things that we just heard from the detectives, keep your back to the door. Have your clients walk in front of you. This way you have eyes on them and you can see what's going on in front of you and you know no one is behind you. Dress to escape. Consider, are you able to move quickly? Really think about your footwear. If you do carry a purse, keep it locked in the trunk of your car before arriving to an appointment. And carry only non-valuable business items, but always have your cell phone on you. Don't wear expensive jewelry, watches, or appear to be carrying large sums of money. All of these things put you at risk. Check your phone signal before every appointment and your battery, especially if you are headed to a rural area or to a commercial property that might have very thick walls and poor reception. In that case, take someone to that appointment with you. Ask your clients to drive separately. This is a safety precaution for them just as much as it is for you. And you both could have appointments before or after your meeting time. So it just makes sense. Do not enter basements, attics, or garages where you could be trapped. Encourage your clients to tour and look around those areas on their own and let you know what they think. Lastly, don't get parked in. What do I mean by that? Park your car in front of the property rather than in the driveway. This way you can avoid having your car blocked in. You'll have an easier time escaping to your vehicle, and you will be more likely to attract attention if you need to flee from a dangerous situation. Next, use technology. So we all have safety features and functions available in the palm of our hands that we may not even be aware of. If you have an iPhone, right now, pick up your phone and turn on the Find My iPhone feature. If you have an Android, turn on the Find My Device feature and make sure your emergency contact has access to your account so they can locate your phone and therefore you if needed. Enable the emergency SOS mode for iPhone or the emergency mode for Androids, which will allow you to call 911 without actually having to dial the numbers. You can do a really simple Google search after this webinar for the steps on how to do that, how to enable it, but make sure you add your emergency contacts as well. So for a quick example, for iPhones, after an emergency call ends, your iPhone is going to alert your emergency contacts with a text message. Your iPhone is then going to send them your current location, and for a period of time after you enter SOS mode, it sends updates to your emergency contacts when your location changes. That could be crucial for you. Other things to remember. Include your client information in their contact card on your phone. Include a note about when you met them, were they a referral? How many appointments have you been to with this person? And add all of your scheduled meetings, showings, and appointments to your phone's calendar, including the contact information of who you were meeting with. Take advantage of free apps to let people know where you are, whether it's the first time or the 5th time you're meeting with this client. NAR's Realtor Safety Program actually has a list of apps. Some are free, some are paid, some have a subscription service, and these are available for you to review and decide what works best for you personally. No two people are going to have the exact same safety protocols. You have to do what's right for you. And I'll share that URL with you again at the end of my presentation. So along with those apps, let's talk about the other resources available from NAR's Realtor Safety Program. We have an extensive library of recorded webinars, videos, articles, and trainings. Along with those, there are 3 things I also want to point out to you. All of these can be found at that URL right at the top of this slide. So go ahead and write that down, www.nar.realtor/safety. You'll access NAR's Realtor Safety Matters course, Safe Business Equals Smart Business. This course is free of charge to state and local associations. NAR created or now offers a Realtor Safety Network to notify members across the country of safety concerns and emergencies that are national in scope. And we do that on our social media. So make sure you're following NAR's accounts on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. It's at nar.realtor. We also have additional safety tips. What I'm sharing with you today are just some high-level tips, but we have even more. And we also have social media graphics that you can share on your social media. Associations can share, brokerages, you can pick them up and share them with your agents. We want you to keep a strong focus on realtor safety throughout the year, not just during Realtor Safety Month. So while I have you here today, I also invite you all to join us this Wednesday, September 23rd, for NAR's next free Realtor Safety webinar, which will be hosted by Jan Stanbro. She's going to share additional safety tips and best practices that she learned after the death of her very close friend and fellow realtor who was a victim during an open house. You can register for this free webinar, again, at nar.realtor/safety. So everyone, I encourage you to stay safe, as safety is an important part of real estate, such an important part from day one. Be prepared and follow the protocols that have been put in place to keep you safe and to bring you home to your family every night, which is the main goal of NAR's Realtor Safety Program. I thank you for inviting me here to speak with you today. If you have any questions for me, you want additional information, you want me to repeat that URL, you can email me at bgingerich@nar.realtor. You can go ahead and write that down as well. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Breanne. I don't have any questions in the chat at this point, but I just wanted to share my screen for a minute. Some of the things that you spoke about, we have some safety programs in place that our members can take advantage of. Let me see. I've got the right one here. So the Forewarn Safety app, and hopefully I'm preaching to the choir to anyone who's on here right now. The Forewarn Safety app is an app that we offer for free to our members. And if you do not have it, please just contact us and we will send you another link. This is an app where you can look a person up, somebody that you don't know, you can look them up by their cell phone number. It's a very easy, quick search you can do on a person. You can get criminal records, you can get court records. It's all public record, but it's a very easy, it's all in one place. So if you're working with a potential client that you don't know, the very first thing you should do is stick their cell phone number in this search and maybe save yourself some time and trouble, and hopefully keep yourself safe. Maybe make better decisions about whether or not you're going to go show them a property all by yourself when you don't know these people. And then another feature that that you are able to use right now is within the Super app on your cell phone. There's an alert feature. And all you have to do is set it up within SuperWeb. It's very easy. You have to enable the service. Once you enable the service, when you open the app on your phone, this alert button will turn from gray to white. And then if you have the app open while you are showing property, if you have a situation where you're not feeling comfortable, you can push on that alert button, and that will contact 3 of your contacts who you've previously set up. Send them an email asking them to contact you or to contact 911. And then let's see what else. This is the Safe Showings app, and our state association, NC Realtors, has just set up a partnership with Safe Showings, this app. That's something that you can look for on the NC Realtors website. There's a free trial. I'm not sure how much that costs per month to use. I know it's not free, but it is another option for you. And safety isn't always about you as a realtor. You're also needing to keep your clients safe. And right now, as we're going through this situation with COVID, we have adopted a Safe Showings pledge that you can use to show your clients that you are pledging to keep their house as safe as possible during COVID. And then Breanne also spoke about your cell phone, whether it's an iPhone or an Android. You have safety features on that, and you should sometime very soon, if you haven't already, set those safety features up so that you can use them. Everyone has a cell phone, so you have features that you can use for free right away. So I just wanted to share those with everyone to make sure you're aware that you have those abilities right now. All right, so let's see. Is Debbie here? I see her on here 3 times. Not sure what's going on. Let me see if we can.
I'm here.
There you are. All right. So I'm going to introduce Debbie, although most of us on this webinar probably already know Debbie. She is a Perquimans County native and has resided in Camden County with her husband, Lucian, for 40 years. Debbie and Lucian have 3 grown children, April Lynn, Oliver, and Spence, a daughter-in-law, Trish, and saving the best for last, 3 precious grandchildren, Wesley, Daxton, and Avery. Debbie began her real estate career in 2004 and has never looked back. She has remained a consistent top real estate producer for the past 16 years. Assisting her clients with professionalism, expertise, and service has always been and remains her top priority. Debbie states, "I love what I do, therefore I do not work." When Debbie isn't connecting heart and home at Rose and Womble Realty or with her team, the Morrisette Group, you'll find Debbie at the family beach house in Kitty Hawk, on the beach playing catch with her Cavalier King Charles baby girl, or building sandcastles with the Grands. She is blessed to live the good life with family and friends. Thank you for being here, Debbie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And sorry, I had to switch a couple of times. My home computer is just not working. I tried the cell phone for the first time ever. That didn't work too well. So now I'm on my laptop. So everything that's been said thus far really, really rings true to what happened a year and a half ago. And I'm just going to go through a little bit briefly about the actual meeting that I had. This gentleman called the office. I happened to be the duty agent for the day. And the first red flag, looking back in hindsight, was I want to buy all of your waterfront property in New Begin Land, and can you come out and show it? Well, I don't show land, and I highly advise anyone to not show land. So, he made the appointment, come to the office, and I felt like that was going to be the telltale sign if this was a real call or a not real call. He showed up, and he had everything that one would believe that was a serious buyer. We met in the office, so those steps that were given to us, 1 through 8, we actually did the first 2. We met in a public place. He came to the office for well over an hour, and didn't just see me, but saw other agents in the office as well as our front desk personnel. And looking back again, there were some questions that were not answered in their entirety, which did leave a little bit of speculation. But again, we are the trusted advisors, and we are to help our clients achieve their real estate goals. So, we meet all walks of life of people and different personalities, and I was trying to respect that and put that together. After about an hour of meeting, it wound up that we were going to view one home. The home was one that Lucian and I had redid on Riverside Avenue. I felt comfortable with the house. I felt confident with the neighborhood. There are 2 things that were said that really stuck like glue once we left the house or left the office. And that was, number 1, he didn't have an address. That's a little strange. But how he backed it up is he had been working for an investment group in Florida and had been on the road for the last 3 years. Okay, well, you have to be from somewhere. And he was from Detroit, Michigan, the Motor City. So we talked a little bit about cars. I will say all along he was building trust, and he was very good at his craft, and I was beginning to get more on a personal level, understanding who he was, where he was from, what he's doing. He's also working for a company investing in waterfront living, and he has made this company $25 million. Well, agents, $25 million. So I'm listening to all of this. The last thing, hold on one second, y'all. I'm sorry. I need to close out a computer screen so I don't hear myself echoing. The last thing was that I asked for a business card, and he didn't have one, but they were in the car. So not a problem. We will get it when we get to the residence to show you this house. And as I was leaving the office, I did make note to Noel Cannon, who was the office personnel at Long and Foster, that I was taking Mr. Cox to 906 Riverside Avenue, and I would see her tomorrow. I don't put buyers in my car. I stopped that years ago, and so I had him to follow me. And the number 1 red flag immediately, his car did not match who he said he was. If you have been on the road working for a company that you've produced $25 million for from Florida up the East Coast, you are not going to be driving an old Suzuki 4-wheel that has a handicap sticker hanging from the rearview mirror. And looking back, that hindsight, I should have changed my direction right then and there, but I didn't. I did immediately call Lucian, my husband, and stated, I'm going to go show Riverside. This buyer is a little different. His car doesn't seem to match who he says he is, but I'm gonna go show the house. And immediately Lucian offered to meet me there, and did I feel comfortable? I said, yeah, I've got it. He was young. I was like, I've got it. Call me in 10 minutes. If I don't answer the phone, you might want to come look for me. Ha ha ha. Joking. little did I know that joke was going to become a reality. And when I got to the house, immediately, the police officers, the investigator officers have told us today, your gut feeling, my gut changed in a way that it's never changed before. I lost my brother in 1999, and the day that he was coded, and we knew things were changing for him, the sinking feeling that I got in my gut that day that I've never experienced before let me know that life was getting ready to change. And I can honestly tell you that that day when I went to open the door, that gut feeling was there. That sixth sense kicked in really strong. And how did it do that? When I opened the door, he insisted on me going in first, which I never do. The client always goes in first. And he stood as still as a statue and would not move left or right. He would not take his hands out of his pockets, which made me wonder what's in his pocket. And he looked straight ahead with absolutely no engagement or interest in real estate. And all I thought was, this is weird. And I tried to get him to move into the kitchen or to take a right and go into the family room. And he decided to go into the family room. And to the right of the family room is a bedroom door. And he wanted to know what was in that room. And I thought, well, that's bedroom number one. And we went in, turned on the light. Across the street is my mother-in-law's house. And I immediately looked at Mary Frances there in that house. And I thought to myself, if he shuts this door, I have absolutely no way out. In 16 years, I've never had that feeling before. And I wish I had eyes in the back of my head so that I could really see what he was doing. I mean, now looking back, because I've never had that kind of feeling to come over me so strong. And immediately I just started moving through the house. You know, had this not been a house that I knew, I don't know what I would have done, but it was a house that I knew, and I was getting deeper into the house, and I wasn't going to make it back down the hallway. So I was angling myself to get towards the master bedroom because there's a glass sliding door there. There's a screen porch there, and I knew it was a way out. And I was already planning that in my head. And as I got to the master bedroom, it really changed. And he would not, again, he got that still statue and just would not engage in any questions that we're used to. You know, as realtors, we're used to what are the taxes? What's the square footage? Just different questions that are related to real estate, and that was not happening. Instead, he looked at me and he grabbed me by my arms and let me know that, quote unquote, I'm not who I say I am. And when that comes to you, I promise you, light years rush through your head of what in the heck is going on. And you do have that flight or fight. I opted not to fight because you never know what that's going to spark in someone. So my goal was to flight and to get out. And instead, you know, he tells me that he's a porn star scouter and that I would look good on camera. And that's not what anyone wants to hear. And the questions kept getting deeper and deeper, asking me specific sexual questions and wanting to know, does no really mean yes? And as you're trying to pass your way through and someone is standing in the doorway and continuing to ask you those kind of questions, you know, the last question was, how old were you when you engaged in a sexual encounter, and how did you like it? And how many times does no mean yes? My head said, he's pulling me back through that door and I'm getting ready to go down and I might not make it home to my family. And you fight for everything you have. Luckily for me, if this guy had been my husband's height, my husband's weight, I don't think have been as aggressive as I was, but because he was more like my son and he was younger, and he was about 5'9", 5'10", and maybe 150 pounds. My mama instincts took over, and he was going to listen to me, and I was getting out of there, and that's what I did. I grabbed that door for everything I had, because I knew that that was going to be the one time I was going to be able to make a break and run. And when I yanked that door as hard as I could, his shoes moved just enough that I was able to break myself through the doorway and literally use the force of the doorway to push the door. And I got out and I ran. Come to find out, the guy was a Elizabeth City State student. He was 20 years old. He was not who he said he was. That part was true, that when he told me that, that was true. You know, looking back on all of it, and, you know, I decided that I really needed to have some counseling, not because it was important for me to understand what would make somebody do this to somebody. Was it something I had done? Was it something that I had out there that I wasn't aware of? Would he come back after me? You know, he was arrested. Would he come back after me? Is this somebody that would plot revenge? And what I found out is that he's a predator. Just like we were just told, they are predators, and they critique their craft. They start their craft at a very young age. And as they get away with things, as they get caught, they learn what not to do the next time. And if it wasn't me, it would have been somebody else. He didn't ask for me. I wasn't singled out, but I have the job, you have the job that allows for these predators to isolate us. And that's what he was looking for. He was looking for isolation. When he came in the office, I now know that he was looking to build trust with me. And that's what he did. I also know that my gut was right, and I should have listened to my gut. I don't know if any of you have been following the story about the young man in Raleigh that put his vehicle on Craigslist. He's done this several times, and he trusted. And he went to go sell his vehicle. And we all know what has happened to him. And we all have that, oh, I should have. We all have that hindsight. And whether it was drinking an extra glass of wine that you shouldn't have drank and you drove, okay, you did it. If it was leaving your children home for 20 minutes while you ran to the store, and you did it. If it was, man, I knew I shouldn't have taken that route, or I knew I should have stopped at the stop sign. I knew I shouldn't have been going 65 instead of 55. You do those things and we get away with it, and then we do it and we become comfortable, and then something happens. We all have hindsight in everything that we do in life. And just take what these officers have told you today. Listen to the safety steps. Take precaution. Listen to your gut. From this point on, I don't go anywhere by myself anymore, and I've always been a very independent person. It's bothered me that he took that trust away from me, and it's bothered me that I don't trust myself sometimes with confidence to go somewhere by myself. Lucian has been a super trooper and goes with me. My grandchildren will get in the car and go with me. My 87-year-old mother sometimes is called to go with me. So you can never, ever be too cautious. And if your office does not have protocol, don't be reactive. Please be proactive and put tools in place that stop this from happening to you or to anyone else. And if your office is small and there's one or two of you, buddy up. Please do the buddy system. I've also changed how I do business, and that I'm not looking for that cold call anymore. I'm really trying to base things on referral. that gives me confidence in knowing that I'm working for people who I've worked for in the past and who know, like, and trust me, and that I know, like, and trust. I would like to say that as a thief doesn't like to be seen. They like to operate in the dark, and they don't want you seeing them. With a predator, it's okay if you see them. Their goal is to isolate you. And that's a really big difference between thief and between a predator. You know, the thief will take something from you, while the predator, again, just wants to isolate you. They like intimidation. What I found out is that when this gentleman was smirking at me and laughing because he saw me squirming, that's what they like. They like to manipulate. They like to intimidate. That gives them power. And the one thing I was told that I did, that I didn't even know that I was doing right, was that I didn't ask for forgiveness, and don't hurt me, I'll do whatever you want. Instead, I fought back with some tough language to him, and the therapist said that she really truly believes that that's what helped to save me, because it threw him off, because that's not where they get their rush. So if you get in that situation, just be confident with who you are. Try to keep the upper hand. Don't fight back unless you have to, and take the flight approach. This gentleman, I finally got a chance to be in court with him this past February. I finally got a chance to tell him everything that I wanted to tell him. And the one thing that I got a chance to tell him is that you didn't invite me. You didn't ask me if I wanted to participate. You knew the entire time what you were doing. And I, the entire time, was trusting you and giving you the professional advice and the professional service that you came to me to give, because I trusted you. And if you'd asked me if I wanted to participate, I would have told you no, but you didn't give me that opportunity. Instead, he tried to take from their husband, from their children, from their mother, from their grandchildren, and he didn't have that right. And so for that, he got 106 days in jail. He is walking around with a very hefty tag on his ankle. What do you call it? Help me out. Anyway, he's got an ankle bracelet. So for 2 years, he's got very strict probation, and he has 2 years, no contest with communication with me. And he lost the ability to be a student and to become that aviation program person that he wanted to be. The judge did call me in his chambers afterwards, and he told me that he had set the probation strong enough on him, hoping that he would break it. And if he breaks it, he'll get 5 years in prison. So he was not on Forewarn app. I would like to say that as well. You know, you can pick up these phones at 7-Eleven, Walmart, and you can register it in any name you want to. And because if he had any convictions or offenses against him, because that those maybe have happened before age 18, they wouldn't have come up anyway. But his name, if you put it in now, Nathaniel Cox, it does come up, and he is convicted. So, you know, will he stop what he's doing? According to the therapist and the counselors, he will not. And he probably had done it before, whether it was on a date or whether it was in high school or whatever. He's probably been critiquing this craft for a long time. And the judge confirmed that with me. He said the only remorse that he has, Debbie, is that he got caught. So, you know, hold your heads up high. Be professionals. I know you all are. Be safe, be smart, do the buddy system, and I wish you all the very best in your safety and in your year of real estate and all of your success and everything that you do. And if I can ever help you, or if you ever have a question about any of this, or I'll be glad to be of help. And I'm glad that I can be of help. And when something happens, if you turn it around and spin it and put some sugar on it and try to make it better for everyone else and try to make something good out of something bad, then that's what we want. So anyway, thank you for having me. Hope I didn't talk too long or ramble, but I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Debbie, for sharing that story. Very brave to be able to get up in front of everyone and tell that story. And I think what's important in your story is that you did a lot of things right at the beginning, and it still happened. So the advice that Breanne gave earlier about slowing down and don't become complacent, and just because you do one thing right, maybe there's a couple more steps and not you specifically, Debbie, but you got to do all the steps. You've got to do everything right in order to try to assure you're going to be safe as can be. As safe as can be. It's quite a story, and I'm so glad the outcome was what it was. The very last thing we want is to be sharing a different story with our members, a different ending. That's the.
Well, it's really easy to become complacent in everything that we do, and we're habits or creatures of habits. So it is easy, and we're all so busy right now that we're jumping from one task to the next showing, to the next listen, to the next contract, to the next closing, and it's just we are driven to be servers. And I think all of us got into this business because we love people and we want to be servants and we want to be everything to everybody all the time. And when you do that, we do have a tendency to let down our guard. And I still have to remind myself every now and then that, hey, back it up, just take a breath, and let's regroup. And I think it's just part of the business.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think it's very important, like Breanne and the sheriff's department said, when you're new, especially when you're a new agent, make those habits at the beginning, make your plan. And if your office doesn't have a plan, don't react, be proactive and help them. If they don't have a plan, help them figure out a plan so that all of the agents in the office can be safer. So thank you again.
Hey, Colleen.
Yes.
Can I say one more thing? So afterwards, I was looking for all of these devices or things that would give me back my security. And I'm sure that Amazon thought that a crazy woman lived on Havenwood Drive, because I was ordering all kinds of stuff. But the one thing that I found, I do have Mace now, but the one thing that I found that I would encourage people to look into, it's right here on my neck, and it's called Invisaware. And this is a necklace, and of course they have other jewelry, but on the back is a push button, and you download the app, and you can put up to 5 people to get the emergency. So when I push the back of this necklace, which looks like any other necklace, my 5 contacts get an alert that I have sent out, and a Visaware alert. It's up to them to push the 911 for me. But after, if after it's either a minute or 2 minutes that one of my 5 contacts do not dial 911, it dials 911 automatically, and it gives GPS location as to where I'm at. If people ask, why didn't I use my phone was in my pocket, but I promise you, 99.9% of you have a locked screen. I've got a locked screen. It's for safety purposes if we lose our phone. You do not have time to pull this phone out, turn it on, put in your code, and then try to dial 911. They will have it out of your hand. The best thing that your phone becomes is a weapon to bop them in the head or the nose or the teeth or something like that. But this does not look like a gun. It does not look like mace, and it works. I had it on about 2 weeks ago, and automatically I hit, and I didn't even think about it. It was 6:45 in the morning, and immediately my daughter-in-law called me. She says, Mimi, you just pushed the 911, and I'm sure you didn't mean to. And I said, you're exactly right, I didn't. And my son in Colorado is another one, and he called me. He's 2 hours behind me, so it was like 4:45 in the morning for him. But he called me, he's like, hey, Mom, I see that you're at 115 Havenwood Drive. I guess you're okay. And I'm like, yes, I'm fine. So it does work. I hope I never have to use it for that purpose, but if you're looking for something, I've had this on now for 1.5 years, and I like it. So look it up. It's Invisaware, INVISAWEAR. Had to think about it, Invisaware. Okay,
Right.
thank you. I'm sorry.
No, that's great. I like that. I like that idea. Well, thank you everybody for being on today. Breanne, did you have anything last words for us?
Yes, I just wanted to remind everyone of the resources that are available from NAR at nar.realtor/safety. And Colleen, thank you for posting the URL there in the chat. If there's anything else that you need, any resources you're looking for, either contact me or check out the safety program there. And again, thank you all so much for having me, and Debbie for sharing your story. It means a lot to be here talking with you all today. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank everybody for being on today and watching us on Facebook. It's important. It's very important. Probably the most important thing.